Page 40, the Queen's Royal Entrance. 4/4 time. We got F sharps all over the place. We're using the C chord and the D chord. Remember, the C chord is here. The C chord could be anywhere. In the music in this piece, the C chord is here. And the D chord is on a D, is here with an F sharp. These two chords. Remember whole steps and half steps? Well, they're a whole step apart. Every note is a whole step apart. For instance, if I take, let's just take one. If I take the C chord and I take each of three notes up a whole step, I get a D chord. So a whole step from C is D. A whole step from E is F sharp. Remember, it's two half steps. And a whole step from G is an A. That's a D chord. They're one whole step apart. Sort of nice to be able to recognize that kind of thing. It'll come in handy a little later on. You need to be able to do this. That's what this piece is about, really. So let's take both hands together and talk about this. Usually I like to do one hand at a time. Depends on the piece. In this one, let's do both hands together. So we're starting out with the D chord. The whole note's in the left hand. And then while you're holding it down, you'll do the half notes in the right hand. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then immediately, both hands come up and you play the C. Just lift up and move, but both hands come up together. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now as far as moving around goes, here, if you can do it both hands at the same time, that's nice. You're going to need to eventually. However, a lot of times when I move hands in piano, if I can do it one hand at a time, I prefer to do that. And here you can, because you end the first measure here, you lift up, but only the left hand's going to play first. So the left hand goes down, and then after it plays, then I can move the right hand down if I want. So the first two measures is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and going back up, same thing. On left hand first, 1, 2. Now these are quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line, same notes, but now we got eighth notes. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Isn't that cool? That just works out. Third line. Eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 1 and. And again, I'm just transferring weight finger to finger here. Kind of rocking the hand back and forth on that. 2. Now we're back to our chords like we were at the beginning. Let's jump down to the last line on page 41. You're starting here on C chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now you got to go up here to an F chord. It's like, what? No. You're going from here to here. It's an F. The F is on the bottom, it's a chord. So you just have to keep your hand in this position. You just go up to here. And then down to an E. All white keys here. Now, show you something that we'll get into more and more. I'll talk more about it. But the idea is when you're moving your hand around and you've got multiple notes like this, and you're trying to, there's 3 fingers involved here. Can you think about 3 fingers all at the same time and move them around and get all 3 of them where they need to go? Good luck with all that. What I tend to do, and it takes some practice, but if you think about it, it'll help, is the hand position is very similar. The only difference is there's no black key. I'm going from here to here. And then the hand position from here to here is the same. And then here it is except for the black key. I just got to make sure there's a black key there. What I can do in that case is I can think about one of those fingers, either any of them, doesn't matter which ones. Let's say the thumb. And I'm just going to focus on the thumb. I want the thumb to go where I want it to go. I'm not worrying about the other fingers. So here, here, here. I'm just aiming the thumb. That's all. Well, if I hold my hand in that position, the other fingers should go along for the ride in theory. The difference is the middle finger's got to use white keys, so you have to think about that a little bit. So I'm going to aim the thumb, and these other fingers just go along. I just make sure I'm on a white key, not a black key. And then I aim the thumb again, and the other fingers just go along. Now the practice is you got to be able to do it with any finger. So we did it with thumb, let's do it with middle finger. We're going to start here and then here, here. And the other fingers just follow. The middle finger goes here, and then here, here. In this case, it's actually a little easier if you think about middle finger, because it's the one using white and black keys. The other fingers are just using the white keys. Then try it with the little finger. Aim the little finger, and here, and let the other fingers go along. You should be doing it in both hands, but it's easier if you do this one hand at a time. My point is, when you have multiple notes at a time, regardless of what they are, usually it's octave, just think about one finger and leave the hand in that position and just go along. The problem with it is you'll get tense because you want to hold your hand in that position. You don't want to move it, and you'll tense up and, oh no, I don't want to move. Don't. Flex the wrist when you do this. Here, here, and then here, and then I'm flexing the wrist with each of this. I'm exaggerating it here for the camera. It's actually a little thing, but keep the wrist. If you can keep the wrist flexing, you cannot tense up, because the muscles don't work that way. It's here. Lift up, let the wrist lead it. And you just real quiet. It takes a little practice, as I said, but it'll serve you very well in the future if you can learn to do that. And I'm encouraging you to do that. I don't care which finger you use. It's probably easiest in this case to use the middle finger, because it's the one using white and black keys. As you do this. Usually I think about the melody. Well, they're chords. There's not exactly a lot of melody going on here, but I'll leave that up to you. So the last line, both hands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, and the last note in the left hand has an 8VA under it, so we go down. Remember, the 8VA under goes down here. You're holding that down, and there's a fermata there, so you just hang on to it. When I play with a metronome, I'm going to hold that D 4 counts instead of 2. I'll just double it. Then the right hand, it'll just hold on however long it has to stay with the left hand. Once you can get all the notes and everything's correct, rhythm and notes, then we go back and add the articulation. You got some staccatos, and we're going to use wrist staccato here. So here, these are not staccato. But you get to the third measure there in the first line, these are staccato. And I'm on the keys and I'm just bouncing off each time. So you got staccatos throughout, and then the last line on page 40, it's legato. Then you got staccatos on page 41, you can do those, I hope. Now notice on the second line on page 40, on the half notes in the right hand, there's an accent on those, so you play those with just a little louder, just a little extra oomph. So it's just a little ba-ba-bum again. There, so just a little accent. It adds a little bit to it. You get the same accent on page 41, third line down. It's the last measure. Just a little bit of an accent in the last line. So yeah, play the accent. It's important. It really helps. Then go back and add the dynamics. Loud. Well, the Queen's coming in, so yeah, tell the world. Boom, both hands. Now we get down to the bottom there on page 40, the last line. Now all of a sudden it's soft. You'll have to decide what loud and soft is. I can't say this is loud and this is soft because it's a range and it changes from situation to what is soft to you. It's hard for me in these videos because the electronics I use want to even it all out, so there's not much difference. There's a lot of difference here in the room, but it doesn't come out that way. So at the bottom it's soft. Then you stay soft there, and the top of page 41, it's moderately soft. You just go up a little bit. It's still soft, it's just moderately soft. It's a little louder. And then in the second line, you see above the staff, they put that hairpin, that arrow thing. It's called a hairpin. Usually they put it between the staves. They got words in there. There isn't room. They can above the staff is fine. It means get louder. So you're moderately soft on the first note. Then you're going to get moderately loud on the next. Notice it's an accent on that half note. This is the second line, first measure on page 41. You're soft or moderately soft on the half note, and then on the second one, it's another half note with an accent, plus the arrow to get louder. So you're just getting a little louder, because in the next measure you're loud again. Moderately soft to moderately loud to loud. So you're just getting louder and louder, huh? Plus they added an accent there. Well, you think, why do you need an accent when you're getting louder anyway? And the idea is it depends on how you interpret the accent. Different people will interpret accents a little differently. And what you can do when you see an accented note is you can separate it with what follows it, and sometimes with what is in front of it, to help bring out the accent a little more. So that measure you can be here, and then you're going to have a little silence anyway, and then you can separate it from the chord. So just a little silence before. That's one way of interpreting it. Otherwise, you really don't need the accents there. You're going to get louder. And then you're loud for the rest of the piece. The problem with separating this accent note is that the pedal's going to cover it all up. It's going to blend everything together. That kind of defeats the purpose of an accent when you put it in there. And once you have all that put together, no hesitations anywhere, it's all fine, then you think about how fast does it go. Well, it's a grand march. If you're going to parade, it's a grand march coming in. How left, right, left. It's not a fast march. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. You have to consider the eighth notes. Let's go over to the top of page 41. Here. Do those eighth notes go? You don't want those going too fast. And once you decide on the speed, you should pretty much have an idea of how it goes. Then we can add the pedal. They've added pedal in a few places. You don't really need pedal in this piece. You can play the whole piece without it. We can actually add pedal in some places in addition to where they're adding pedal. Now, I won't go into that. If you were my student in front of me, we'd talk about it, but I'm not here in the video. So we'll just pedal it like they're saying to pedal it. You're going to push the pedal down on the third line on page 40. Right after you play the A, push the pedal down right there. You're going to hold the pedal down all the way to the second line on page 41. Just hold it down steady and you lift it up right after you play the chord in the second measure. Here. I think it would be better if you'd lift the pedal up right before you play the chord, so there's a little silence there that helps bring out that accent a little bit. Whatever. And then in the last line, you have pedal at the end. You can push the pedal down. In this case, because you're loud, you can push the pedal down with the notes at the same time. As you play this chord, push the pedal down right there. And keep it down, and then at the end, lift the pedal in the hands at the same time. Everything comes up together. That's my impression of the pedal. Let's play this together slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. Make sure we got all that. I'm not going to do the dynamics. So I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2,